Hey there, and welcome to the A.D.K. Rock and Metal channel. I am Dave Does, one of your hosts from Telescribe and Nothing Gain, and of course we have Andy from Nomadic Raid and Kirk out from Screen Blast Repeat as well. We are here to talk about Metal to the Masses, specifically the Hitchin, and it's the grand final. Now, we did a video 6 weeks ago, something like that, where we talked about all the competing bands and we gave you our predictions for who we thought the 4 finalists were. Now, we do have a caveat here. One of the heats, they had a vacancy for a band, and one of those bands is actually in the final. So there's a quick question mark we have to ask ourselves here, that if we had known about this band competing at the time, would we have put them in our final 4? So to give you our details, we have our finalists for Metal to the Masses Grand Final at Hitchin are Hereward, Burdensome, Broken States, and Headcount XVR. Now, Burdensome was in Heat 2 or Heat 3, I think it was. And specifically, we had, in that heat, was it Apollo, Before the Sirens,
Flying Cymbals,
and then Burdensome was the band we didn't know about. So, quick question then. So, before we get to what our actual final 4 for each of us was, if Burdensome knew, Kirk specifically for this one, I think to start with, if you'd known Burdensome were in this competing, would they have been automatically in your final 4, do you think?
As a fan, yes. Not necessarily trying to second guess how people would vote for them. But, I mean, I can go straight into it on this band. These have been the wild card, the surprise band. They are metal as fuck. Even Andy will back me up on this. If you want a band to represent the Hitchin metal scene, you've literally got a band that are influenced by Death, Opeth, Gojira, Emperor, Carcass, all these bands that we love. And they're quite complex in the musicianship as well. Declan sorted his vocals out where you can hear them in the mix. It's basically evil thrash metal with progressive elements. And they're one of those, I would say, like Acts of Vengeance. I hope they make the final. I'm not sure how people are going to vote. These have been sensational, and they kind of stepped in almost as a favour. They weren't sure. The bass player's going through a lot of trouble right now in his private life, and so the first heat that Andy saw them, they had to play with a backing track, which doesn't matter really because they're a guitar-based band. There's not really any complex bass parts in there. And yeah, they've really just stepped up to the plate. I think because they're not putting any pressure on themselves, they're enjoying it. That's probably helped them. And now they're in the final, and they're a really good outside bet to win it. And I was speaking to one of our regulars, we know in the scene, Alan Wilkinson, and he said if they have to represent Hitchin at Metal to the Masses, that is 100% perfect, for what we want to be portraying about the metal scene here. So yeah, I'm pleased they're in the final. I've backed them all the way. I just don't know how other people will take to them. Clearly, people like them.
Andy, would you have put Burdensome out of your list of bands that would have made it to the final?
they would have certainly been in consideration. It would have made probably me choose from 6 bands instead of the 5. If I'm honest, I don't think I would have put them as one of the finalists. But as you said at the outset, we didn't have them down as competing. So, but yeah, they performed really. It's the best performance I've ever seen from them. I've seen them a few times before, but yeah, they had really good sound. And as Kirk said, they represent metal 100%. Great energy on stage. It's a performance. They always look like they're enjoying it. But as what Kirk said, as they've stepped into the competition without, sort of meaning to win it from the outset, they are enjoying it, and they, hopefully they'll see what happens in the final. But I honestly don't think I'd have put them as my final 4, but they'd have been strong contenders, and I'm pleased they're there. Rightly so, I think.
Yeah, I think I probably would have over Before the Sirens, just knowing the kind of the scene and the people that tend to vote and where it goes in the area, and that was in that same heat as well, which is probably what. Personally, I would have wanted Before the Sirens to go through for a personal the bands I like, but I would have thought based on their style of music, they would have gone ahead. But so let's just talk. Kirk, out of your final 4. You actually got 3 out of the final 4 correct. So you put in Headcount XVR, Acts of Vengeance, Hereward, and Broken States. Andy and I basically picked the same 4 and only got 2. So we picked Before the Sirens, Hereward, Acts of Vengeance, and Headcount XVR. So quick one then before we talk about the 4 finalists and who we think is going to be the winner, because we're going to pick our prediction for the winner out of these 4.
I thought I put Broken States as a possible. I can't remember now.
You end up going Broken States. You had about 4 at your potential 4th one, and then you just went with my pick, which was Broken States, and you went, I'll go with you, Dave.
Oh, I don't think that was the case. Let's watch the video back.
So I did have to go watch the video back just to double check that this morning. So, quick one. For each of us, what's been your biggest shock or surprise from this round of heats and semi-finals? So, Kirk?
First surprise is that Before the Sirens didn't get through. That's probably the best performance I've ever seen from them. They put 3 new songs into the set. We've seen them at the recent ADK Presents promotion night at Cambridge. The energy was excellent. I thought Alan's interaction with the crowd, there was so much goodwill, yet they didn't go through. And I thought, and they're a lot heavier now as well. You know, some of the songs are a lot faster, some of the new materials. So surprised they didn't go through because it's such a professional outfit, great songwriters. Another band who always impressed me, Lucid High, because I'm very much into Tesseract and Oceans of Slumber and these bands, and I think they've got a lot of great ideas, and I'd like to see them come back next year. I think they're a bit like Broken States last year, new to the scene. Broken States, I think that was their debut show at Metal to the Masses 2024, and they've come back in 2025 and they're on it. And Sentient were like that, weren't they, when they first appeared on the scene? So got big expectations from them. In terms of shock, there's not really much there. I mean, I think Acts of Vengeance have been unlucky not to get through to the final. Them and Burdenson are really carrying the torch, aren't they, for that death thrash metal type sound. Don't get me wrong, they're not really breaking any new ground, but they do it so well, and it's important to keep that type of music alive, even if they're as custodians. And it's about having fun, isn't it? And I watch bands like that, and I'm like, yeah, this is why I listen to this type of music. But no, there hasn't really been any shocks. The biggest one of all time, I think, was 2023 when that melodic death metal band A Killer did not get through. That's the one time where I looked at it and thought, what is going on here? How has this happened that they've not progressed to the next round? But Andy, was there anything in the heats you've seen that shocked you or surprised you?
Well, my what's going on now moment was Before the Sirens not progressing, because echo exactly what you said. I'm big fan of the band, know the guys. New material is very strong, and that was the best, if not, if one of the best, if not the best performance I've ever seen from them. As you said, great interaction from Alan, the lead vocalist, but yeah, just really felt for them, to be honest, because they put everything into it, and I think they would have wanted to progress and win the competition and play at Bloodstock, but are they the sort of band that the scene and Bloodstock looking for? I don't know. That's just from a personal point of view. I've looked at this as well, which doesn't probably always happen. You've got the 4 heats, and the winners of each heat have been split in their respective semi-finals, which is I think a good thing for the competition, and probably saves a bit of headache as well, because some bands probably say, I can't do semi-final 1 or I can't do semi-final 2, but the organisers have split the winners, heat winners, so they're not competing with each other in the semis. Like yourself, disappointed Acts of Vengeance didn't progress. Really pleased Broken States have made it. I admit I haven't seen them perform or really looked into the band, but head count getting to the final is quite a surprise, because looking at the videos and the sort of photographs I have seen, I think the majority of them are from that band Vendetta. Do you know those youngsters who have played at Ballstock? And
yeah, they are.
Certainly the bass player and the drummer.
Yeah. And
I think the guy on the vocals was performing with them at Ballstock last year. So I don't know if that's an amalgam, sort of progression from Vendetta, or it's a new project. I don't know, but Kirk, you'll probably sort of explain what sort of music they are and how good their performances are. But unfortunately, I've not seen them. But yeah, sort of no real surprises. Burdensome have done well to get through. I expected Hereward to. Please, Broken States did. We were kind of talking highly about head count, just a bit of a shock and disappointment for Before the Sirens.
Yeah, do you want me to just fill you in?
Yeah, cover head count point.
Yeah, you're right. Some of them are from that young band Vendetta. They only formed in November 2024 officially. released a single in January called Power Trip. Quite ironic because Power Trip are the main influence, but they really are coming in from a crossover hardcore thrash perspective. So they cite Power Trip, Hatebreed, Grove Street. They're a band from Southampton. They're really cool. Madball and Machine Head, and it is really rough thrash metal, great energy, punk spirit. We were predicting to get to the final just because they're the only crossover thrash band in here, even though we'd not heard them. And I'm not surprised, and they bring a crowd as well. And it's great to see, you go and watch them. Bear in mind, they only formed in November. They've got their girlfriends there and their wider crew, and everyone's wearing T-shirts. And you kind of can get caught up in it. It's great to see that level of goodwill and enthusiasm. And in the first heat, they didn't get the guitar sound right at all, but there's the vocalist, there's so much energy and enthusiasm and aggression, and you knew that if they get through, they could sort that out. And then in the semi-final, that's the reason Acts of Vengeance didn't get through. It's because Headcount had sorted out the guitar tone, and they just edged it. Because ironically, even though they're playing crossover thrash, which you could argue is DRI and even Suicidal Tendencies and bands like that, that does sound a bit more modern than Acts of Vengeance, which is this like vintage death metal, isn't it? So yeah, they're really exciting band, and wear their influences on their sleeves.
Okay. I mean, obviously, I haven't been to any of the heats or semi-finals this year, so the only shock I got was literally when you guys messaged me with who the winners were, and it wasn't before the Sirens of their heat. It's more from a frustration point of view for these guys. I was hoping they'd get through because they are really good, but I also know that the Hitchin scene does not like melodic metal. Clean vocals are not a big part of the scene. They like aggressive vocal deliveries, and although Alan does do vocal aggressives from time to time, usually to accent ends of choruses, or he kind of does it, but generally he's a good singer with harmonies and stuff, and that's just, even if they're crunching those riffs out, melodic vocals just get absolutely tarnished massively in the scene because they just want it to be guttural, in your face, Praetorian, pig squeals, you name it, that sort of stuff. And that goes, I mean, I listen to that and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I have no idea what's going on. And please, that's my cue to head to the bar, because I'm never going to connect with that sort of music, with that sort of vocal. I'd much rather hear the melody, hear the harmonies. That's what I'm looking for. But I know that the Hitchin scene, as you've said, Doom is a massive part of that. Sludge is huge in that scene as well. Big death metal bands in there as well. So in a way, not surprised they got knocked out, but disappointed would be my biggest frustration for them. And yet they come back year after year and throw themselves into the mix. So fair play to them for doing that. But let's talk about the finalists then. So we've obviously talked a little bit about Headcount XVR, so you've already covered that one. Let's just talk about a little bit about the band. So we've covered Burdensome as well in this already. So let's just talk about the other two bands we've got here. So Hereward then. So Hereward have been knocking around for quite some time. Kirk, do you want to give us a bit of a rundown on Hereward? And obviously they've done a little bit of a tweak this year. There's some new things. We've got a new guitarist in the band, new look for their opening track. So give us a little bit of a rundown for them.
Yeah, there's at least 2 new songs in the set, and one of them goes quite heavy on the breakdowns as well. So that just brings in even more of the spectrum of heavy music, because you're never sure with these. Are they traditional heavy metal? Are they melodic death metal? Are they metalcore? Are they even hard rock? And they bring them all together. The new look, it's amazing. In the semi-final, each one of them came on. They had the Predator mask. You know the film Predator? When he takes it up at the end and Arnold Schwarzenegger goes, "You are one ugly motherfucker." They're wearing those masks. And they've even dropped the song Mediocrity from the set, which is a staple, a classic song, isn't it? I know, and I was shocked. A bit like when Before the Sirens had dropped a couple of their songs, I was complaining to the band. I don't think they were happy about it. But yeah,
on Mediocrity.
It's a great song, isn't it? These I thought were guaranteed to get to the final. The only thing that would work against them, they've been in the final before and didn't get through. And I think that's always at the back of the judges' minds as well. Different judges, it's a panel this year.
Oh, is it a panel, not Simon?
Yeah, it's 4 people now, and I think Danny Robertson's one of them as well. I was listening to him, so
okay, that's an interesting change.
That might be one as well. Yeah. So I think with this band, we're almost in danger of taking them for granted. They put on a show, and in the local scene around here, if you want a heavy metal show, this is who you go to now, isn't it? It'd be great if they win. I think all 4 bands that are in the final have got a superb chance. All radically different from each other as well, which is even better and represents the scene. Dave, you make a fair point. Clean vocals for some reason don't seem to get you through. They have those soaring Queensryche type anthemic vocals. It's very aggressive, but there's a lot of thought gone into the melody and the phrasing of the vocals, and pains me to say it, do you think that could work against them, couldn't it?
I think so, yeah. I mean, if you look at the bands on the New Blood stage each year at Bloodstock, you don't tend to get many clean vocal bands in. They're all you have thrash bands, you have death metal bands, you have metalcore bands, but they're all guttural, aggressive, screaming, hardcore vocal delivery. There isn't. I've yet to come across someone post me a video of someone actually going full on.
Yeah.
You don't see like many rock bands or anything like that going on there, so it's not impossible. It does happen, but it does seem to be when there's a criteria of what type of bands they're looking for Bloodstock. Melodic vocals don't seem to be high in the mix. I think
Dave from Hereward has a more of a mix of the two styles than say Alan from Before the Sirens.
Yes, he does.
Predominantly, he's delivering clean vocals. You can hear the lyrics. So, yeah, I agree. Looking at the 4 we've got, there's one that stands out that would fit that criteria most. But we'll carry on talking about, and perhaps we want a Broken State, shall we?
Yeah, should we talk about Broken States as well? Who wants to talk about Broken States? Andy?
Yeah, I'll chip in. I mean, following on from the vocals, again, it's heavily weighted to the clean delivery. Again, gentleman's called Dave. Very good, very powerful. There's the occasional aggressive line, but a bit like Hereward, there's a mix of styles there, isn't there, Kirk? You know, they don't neatly sit into one particular genre. They do, again, that they put on a great show. I don't know how much sort of floor use they've done this in the heats and the semis, Kirk, because again, I haven't seen them. No, I did actually. They were in our heat for at the beginning of the competition. But yeah, they like to get on the stage and interact get off the stage and interact with the crowd. But again, are they that New Blood stage growling, aggressive vocals that seem to be the thing? I mean, I'm really pleased they've progressed as far as they have. I think they're a great band. I've really enjoyed watching them. At our show in particular, at the 66 Bar in Cambridge, great bunch of guys, and really pleased they got to the final. But are they the winners?
So who do you
are fine. Sorry, Dave.
Okay.
I was just going to say, so based on the fact that we've got these 4 bands, who do you reckon is going to get? I mean, if all 4 of the bands go out and put on their show that you've seen at semi-finals or at the heats, and they go out there and they replicate it with a great sound, so no technical issues. Based on that, who do you think is going to be picked by the judges for winning Metal to the Masses final this year? Kirk.
First of all, I'll answer that question. The best live band out of the 4 is Broken States. That's as a live band, from what I've seen. Doesn't mean that they'll win it though. You're right. We're trying to second guess. What does Bloodstock want? Can I just come back on that point, Andy? I think Dave. I think he is quite aggressive in his vocals. There's a big Lamb of God influence there, and hardcore, as you said, Madball. Remember, you picked out one of the songs in their recent set, and you're like, "This is New York hardcore." So I think they are very aggressive, and they've got a really loud, distorted bass, plenty of groove, Machine Head groove in there as well. Killswitch Engage are obviously the biggest influence. Yeah. But out of the 4, they are the one where you just look at them as a live unit and just think every time they're going to sound fantastic. They're going to get the crowd going. They did the conga in the semi-final, went around the whole room. It's incredible. So they'll definitely get a great reaction in the final. In terms of the question is, who do I think will win it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think Headcount will win it. I just think because of their youth and their exuberance, and there's a hard edge to it as well. It's quite rough. There's nothing polished about this. They do have a few breakdowns, but it's not the typewriter drums triggered with the typical chugging open strings. they really know what they want to do. That, you know, it's crossover thrash, and it gets a really great reaction. Hereward put on a great show as well. When I said the best live band out of these four is Broken States, I didn't say that lightly, because Hereward, you would hire them for any show in the area where you want some flamboyant heavy metal. They're absolutely fantastic at what they do. Burdensome, I keep saying it, the wild card, they are metal as fuck, this band. They will go down well at Metal to the Masses. So yeah, I think Headcount will win it. Burdensome are probably the dark horse who would certainly represent Hitchin well if they did go on to win it.
Andy, who do you pick to win it?
I'll ask Kirk a question first. We talked about the vocals and vocal styles. How would you compare, or how would you describe the guy from Headcount? Because I've not actually seen them. I must admit.
Yeah, very aggressive. It's not guttural. It is that hardcore, almost like shouting type vocal, but it's very clear. You can hear every word. Yeah. You know, where you pitch the shout, and it. In fact, I was just reviewing an album today from a London hardcore band where they do the same thing, where it's all at the same tone and it's almost in the shadow of melody as well. So I think that's what's going to be a bit like Suicidal Tendencies. You know how when he's not doing his stream of consciousness, when he's shouting, it's a bit like that. So yeah. You would love them, mate. I think you'd really be into this band. Yeah,
I mean it's a strong final lineup, different styles. It's a real tough call. It's interesting you share this, Kurt, that it's not going to be Simon Hall. It's going to be a panel of sort of Club 85 aficionados. It's a tough one. I mean, I would like either Broken States or Hereward to win. I think Hereward are up against it because they've made the final and weren't successful. That's no disrespect to them. I'm going to go with Burdensome. As you say, wild card, enjoying the ride, putting on their best show I've ever seen from them in the rounds, and they're probably from what I know, the most bloodstock band. So I'm gonna put my money on Burdensome.
Okay, I'm also going to go with Burdensome for a couple of reasons. That they put on a good stage show. They've got good stagecraft, good tracks, good vocal delivery as far as what they're looking for Bloodstock. So I think there's a lot of the tick boxes that they will fit within the Bloodstock with very little to put people off from that. So they're a comfortable fit for Bloodstock. I don't know anything about Headcount XVR because I've not seen. And also there's probably a little bit of bias in me that says that after they've not even been together for a year, so should they really have the chance to go to Bloodstock? I'm being a bit of a git there going, well, hang on, you got to the final, well done, but there's a little bit of youth exuberance there, so you almost feel you want to weather them in a little bit longer. I'm being a dick there about it, I'm sure, but it's just a case of like I'd like them to do it another year, and because what's going to happen is they get to Bloodstock and they're going to think the whole world's gone in their favour, and they're like, yeah, we was cheat, and then they're just going to peter off. I don't
know if they will though, because they're young.
Yeah, there's that step. You don't really get that growth. Yeah, everyone's going to call me a cunt for that, but oh well. Sorry. It's just a bit in my head. I don't know enough about the band. Yeah. And maybe if I'd seen them myself properly, I might feel a bit different. Hereward, to me, great band, great live band, not a Bloodstock band.
Download band, aren't they?
They are completely a download band, yeah. They fit within the download category. They go through the Bloodstock thing each time, but they don't. When you look at all the bands that play Bloodstock on New Blood stage, they don't naturally sit in with that crowd. They are definitely a festival band, but they're not necessarily Bloodstock, so I don't think they'll get it. My worry for Broken States, really good band, but you talk about they're great about doing floor show. New Blood stage, you can't go out in the pit, so the question is stagecraft. Can they stay on stage and put on a great show? They love to be on the floor. They love to be amongst people. That's not, I think, as a judge's point of view, they're going to be looking at stagecraft. What they're not going to want to see is two guys on stage playing guitar while the vocalist and the bass player are amongst the pit for the whole show. I wouldn't be looking at that because I'm thinking, well, on New Blood, you're not going to get a chance to do that. So what I want to know that you can deliver a great crowd to people and stay on stage for 30 minutes and get that energy across. If you can't show me that in the final, then I'm not going to put you through. That's where my head would go, but maybe the judges are going to look at it and go, look at how they got the crowd going by getting amongst her, because it's not Simon doing the judge. I think if it was Simon doing it, Simon would mark them down, but I don't know about the other guys. I honestly don't know how that's going to fray it, but I purely think from a safe bet for a Bloodstock band, Burdensome will go through on it.
Do you know, they're so well liked now as well. Speaking to Sticks on Sound, he said they're now the easiest band to work with. They just come and you say, yeah, what do you need us to do? And plug it in, whereas in the past they were very much, oh, can you make us louder? And the guitars drowned everything out and they were insistent. And then the other thing, when they interact with the crowd, they mean it. You know, they're like, we need to save this venue, grassroots metal. And there's even a speech from Declan, you know, he's talking about, oh, this is a safe space for everyone, including LGBT. You know, they're just so happy to be there. Can I just say, though, we haven't mentioned one band who've got great potential who never got the sound right, Nova Ghost. Oh my God, Andy, you competed against them, didn't you, within your heat? That singer is incredible. He is like Daniel Tompkins standard from Tesseract. He was hitting he must have like a 4-octave range, and he was hitting some notes, and his microphone was up here, because he had to hold it so far away, because he was belting at such a high level. But his aggressive vocals were just as good, but you could never hear the guitars in the mix. The backing track was always too loud. And I'm watching the two guitar players do some interesting shred patterns. I can't hear any of it because the bass is drowning it out. So if they get their live mix right, they've got a great chance. You know, they were basically playing progressive metalcore. You know, a bit of it's really interesting music. They just couldn't get the sonics right, but that vocalist alone could have got them to the final because he is so talented and he acts like a rock star. I don't mind that. If you're that good, go on and do that. You know, that you could argue that's missing from the scene these days. So it probably the biggest surprise was how good they could have been, and how, I don't know if they're aware of it, they just could not get the balance, the equilibrium in their sound. So I want to hear them on record.
Okay. Well, it's the final, was it the 28th of June?
I think it's 21st, isn't it?
21st.
Yeah, there's two headliners.
21st, I knew it was the one of the two.
Phobita are playing. Yeah, Phobita.
Okay, so it's Saturday, 21st of June at Club 85. Hitchin, make sure you get yourself down there. Let us know in the comments down below who you think will win the final. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.